All right, we are back with the final rapid rundown before the Midsummer Classic as we discuss the hottest three topics in New York sports. Joining me this week for the discussion is a man who sometimes sits in the seat that I'm currently sitting in. You see him hosting Honda Sports Night on SNY, representing Greensboro, North Carolina to the fullest, my guy, Jason Spells. What's going on?
Always represent, baby. Good to be here. Happy to be back on the desk on Rapid Rundown. Busy time in New York sports, for sure. Always a busy time.
It never stops. We know it never stops. It is always a busy time. Jason, this week, we had a week where the Mets, they're now in playoff position, and you know where they were before, okay? They continue to play good baseball. The Yankees, their struggles continue, and they're hoping to turn it around in their weekend series with the Orioles. So both baseball teams, they got a couple of games left. The fans know that before their All-Star break. But first, we're going to tip off the show with some basketball. We got to talk about the New York Knickerbockers. On Friday, Knicks point guard Jalen Brunson became eligible to sign a 4-year max extension worth $156.5 million. And on Friday, the team announced that they signed Brunson to that extension. Now, here's the thing, and everybody's talking about this, you know. Brunson could have waited until free agency next summer, instead where he could have received approximately $269 million over 5 years. So, Jason, I got to ask you this. What was your reaction to Brunson leaving $113 million on the table? What do you think that says about the all-NBA guard and also the front office of the New York Knicks and what they're trying to build here?
First off, they do not make NBA stars like Jalen Brunson anymore. No. Think about it. Leaving $113 million on the table for the front office to be able to go out and put a team around him. We don't see that. Case in point, Kate Cunningham signing a $225 million contract with the Detroit Pistons. And let's be honest, the Pistons need every dollar they can get to get good. Jalen Brunson doing this shows that this guy understands the impact he has had on Knicks culture. He understands what $113 million means for him. He's made over probably, close to $200 million plus over the course of his career. 113, yes, that's a lot of money. But leaving that to now leave an organization with the opportunity to get a true winning team that is deep enough to contend in the East, that says a lot about the man that Jalen Brunson is and his desire to win for Knicks. And I see you wearing the blue and the orange, right? So, you understand what this means for Knicks fans. You understand when Knicks fans saw this, they said, this is why he is our point guard.
Listen. You saw fans. Josh Hart said this, so I don't want to just say it's just fans. Josh Hart was out there saying, build him a statue. Knicks fans saying they should give the man a statue. It's been interesting to watch this conversation because some people are like, and one of my friends texted me, said, that's crazy. He left $113 million on the table. I couldn't do that. It's easy to talk about what you could do with other people's money, right? But let's also keep this real here. It's not like Jalen Brunson did not get paid at all. He got $156.5 million here. He's still doing good. But do you look at this as, is this a major sacrifice in your eye? I know it's crazy to say that when we're talking about that much money and he's still getting a bag, but is this a major sacrifice that he took for the team? And do you like this? Do you see other stars doing this? Or is it like you said, they don't make stars like this?
They don't make stars like this. I think he is a unicorn in that regard as to the fact that he is leaving this. Yes, he is leaving a big bag, 113M on the table. It's so difficult, right? Because James Dolan is not necessarily known to be an owner who takes care of his players, a la Jeannie Buss, what she did with the late, great Kobe Bryant, what Mark Cuban did with the Mavericks, where they said, look, you helped make our franchise even more valuable. We will pay you in the twilight of your career. I'm not saying Dolan will not do that. I'm not saying he will. But I will say this with Jalen Brunson, what he has done. He has now put the onus on Leon Rose and on James Dolan. You have the money. You have the opportunity. Now go build a team, not just a collection of players, a true team that we can compete, because right now we are in our window as championship contenders in a still very winnable Eastern Conference.
I think that's a really good point there in that this does put further pressure, right? Because I think you just said you look at them as in championship contention right now. The Knicks have done that. Jalen Brunson has made I'm putting air quotes here, folks, sacrifice, leaving $113 million on the table and is saying, okay, we want the flexibility with all the aprons in the NBA to get a chance to win. Now, ownership, you got to go and do that. And I think you're right. I think that's a fair point. Now, the Knicks did something else this week that they hadn't done in 3 years, and that was have an introductory press conference for a new player. That player was Mikal Bridges, who they acquired from the Nets. Do you believe the addition of Bridges makes the Knickerbockers a true challenger to the Boston Celtics for the NBA crown.
Do you feel, once again, I give you decked out of that orange and that beautiful blue, representing New York City.
It wasn't purposeful. I just happen to like a little orange and blue. I think I look good in it. I think
you fresh, bro. Ain't I fresh? You're fresh, bro.
I always.
I noticed this. I felt like this move was in the making because we saw the back and forth with the Nova Knicks and Mikal Bridges. We would see it on social. We would see jokes with Josh Hart alluding to the fact that Mikal played across the East River, like a barren, unknown place for the Nova Knicks. This is a great move, right? There's obviously a comfort level that they all have in playing with one another. And you can make the argument now with the re-signing of OG and Mikal Bridges that the New York Knicks have really a team that can defend any pick and roll situation. Because you want to pick against Mikal, he has the length and ability to step out on a Nikola Jokic, on a Karl Anthony Towns. OG Anunoby has the ability to then, I don't want to say guard Joel Embiid, but at least make him work for his points. So defensively, you understand what they've done, and they have a three-point shooter now that they feel very confident with. And we also have the cohesion of DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. That can't be overstated, the impact that will have for the Knicks going forward. I think the issue with the Knicks right now, they're in their championship window, and they were there last season. If Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, and Jalen Brunson don't get hurt, they could have easily made a run for the NBA Finals, right? Like, that team was built for it. I think the champion of the NBA's Eastern Conference will come from the I-95 corridor. The Celtics, the Knicks, or the 76ers. But the biggest question about which one of those three win, health. Who will be the healthiest? We look at Philadelphia and say, Paul George, Joel Embiid, y'all's health, I'm from North Carolina, y'all's health has not been proven to be something that we can rely on in the months of May and June. You can rely on Mikal Bridges in June. You can rely on Jalen Brunson in June. His usage rate was so high. I don't think that injury was a byproduct of just him breaking down. I just think he was overused, and you understand why.
Right.
But also now with Mikal Bridges, now we don't have to use Julius Randle as much in December, January, and February.
So you can have them ready for the playoffs, which is what you want. You hope they're healthy. I like how the Yals came out there.
Yeah,
that was real Greensboro, North Carolina right there. I like that there for sure. All right, we'll see what the Knicks can do. Good week for their fans. Brunson signing the extension. Mikal Bridges introduced. And a lot of us think the Knicks can contend for a championship in 2025. Okay, Jason, we got to talk about the New York Yankees. They are the talk of New York, but not for good reasons. They continue to slump. They now have lost 18 of their last 26 games. The team did get a big win on Friday night over the Orioles, but some fans, I've been seeing this on New York Sports Talk Radio. I've been hearing this, I should say. They're calling for manager Aaron Boone, as well as general manager Brian Cashman, to be fired. The Yankees are still in second place at the time of this recording. It's just a game back of the Orioles in the American League East. Should Boone or Cashman be worried about their jobs and what we've seen and the kind of play from the Yankees over the past month or so?
There are certain jobs in the sports world where the hot seat will burn hotter than anywhere else. And one of those jobs resides in the Bronx. If you are the manager and the general manager of the New York Yankees, you've got one job: to win, to build superstars and to win. You have a superstar in Aaron Judge. You went out and got Juan Soto, another named superstar, even Giancarlo Stanton. Yes, we all know he is not the most consistent, but he is still a star. Aaron Boone has been here since, I believe, 2018? We know what we got with him. Brian Cashman has been here for 25-plus years. Virtually unheard of in today's landscape. A general manager can remain with a team for that long. They have not been to a World Series since 2009. They could not solve the Houston Astros at any point over the last decade. Yes, they are on the hot seat, and fans have a legitimate reason to sit here and question whether or not they can get the team over the hump, because once again, this job is only judged by how many championships you can bring back to the pinstripes, and that duo has failed to do so.
All right, and it's fair. Some seats, some jobs.
Burn hotter, man.
Burn hotter, more pressure than others. The Yankees' jobs, in terms of management, whether you're managing the team or general manager, it's going to burn a lot. There was a lot of expectations, on this team this season in terms of what they could do. Got off to the great start. They've been faltering a little bit. I would like to note, there is time, right? The baseball season is long, but however, as you know, I've been watching sports a long time. Sometimes it can get late early. I don't think we're there yet, but it can get late early. So I mentioned before Bronx Bombers, they get a victory on Friday to start their weekend series with the Orioles. Battle for first place in the AL East. There's 2 more games left before the All-Star break. In your eyes, is it imperative that the Yankees sweep this series, or at a minimum split the final 2 games of this series to head into the break with some good vibes?
Look, it's always good to go into a vacation off, especially in the world of sports. It's always good to go into your All-Star break or some off time on a win streak. Yes, you brought it up. They're only 1 game back, right? Like, they are still in the thick and in striking distance to win this AL East with a lot of baseball ahead of them. But if you lose 3, or rather you lose these last 2, you go into the All-Star break down 2 games. That means we got a full week, and by we, I mean all of New York media, to sit there, dissect and roast, and that spotlight will get hotter, not just on Cashman and Boone, but on Judge, but on Trevino, but on everyone in the organization, because there's no excuse for this. They need to win at least to be tied with the Baltimore Orioles going into the All-Star break. Good for their psyche if they could win the entire series.
I think you are 100% right that if they lose the next 2 games of this series, it is going to give us, and I'm going to put us in here, we are members of the New York media, time to, you said the word roast? Did you say roast?
Bro.
Yeah, they're going to get roasted.
We
already know what time
you got
it
a
is.
full week of no baseball. What do you think people in New York will talk about?
Roasting. Look at your face there.
What do you think we're going to talk about in that All-Star break? So, excuse me, the trade deadline not far away either. Right. It's a situation in which people will remember what they just saw. Your fans will remember how you made them feel last. If you make them feel good last, they will feel good throughout all the All-Star break. But if you have a catastrophic meltdown or you perform poorly, then the fans will fester and let that sit with them until you take the field again.
What does your gut tell you about this Yankee team, right? Because it's been such a roller coaster of a season. It's 50-22 through the first 72 games, and then I just said 18 out of their last 26 games they've lost. So who's the real team here? Do you think they turn this back around, or do you have legit concerns that they can't turn this back around?
That's the beauty of baseball, right? Like, we're not looking at an organization in which we've seen catastrophic injuries up and down their lineup, which makes us question whether or not they have the talent there or if people are playing hurt. What we're seeing is just a down period. I do think the Yankees are still in position to win the AL East. They still have the pieces, but the issue is when the ball starts rolling, whether downhill, I want to say good or bad, but like when the ball starts rolling and confidence is lost, well, then it's hard to get it back. All it takes is one good series, a couple of good at-bats by a couple of people in the lineup, and the next thing you know, we're talking about this team totally differently, right? Like, we still have all of August, people. This team is still one of the best teams in the American League East. We just have to see them consistently get back to the organization that we saw in May and June and not what we've seen later June into July.
All right. You heard it, Yankee fans. The sky might seem like it's falling, but that doesn't mean it's falling. There's still plenty of baseball left.
It's Yankee fans. You know what they're going to say.
Yeah, that is true. I can't say I disagree with that. I understand the sky's falling every day. There's 162 games. There's plenty of time left. They might turn it around. They might not. We will see. Got to talk about the Metropolitans. Unlike the Yankees, they got all the good vibes going right now as they've won 4 games in a row. They're guaranteed to head into the All-Star break above 500. This is, and pun intended, an amazing turnaround for the Mets considering where they were at the end of the May, 11 games below 500. What do you think has been the biggest factor for them in getting back into playoff position where they are right now? What has been the biggest factor for the Mets turning this all around? So
one team in New York is struggling with confidence. Another team has an abundance of confidence. We can sit there and say it's Grimace, it's a hot dog eating chihuahua, it's a guy in a pimp outfit. It's none of those things. This is a clubhouse in which they are all playing at their best because they have true belief that they are the best version of themselves when they go out onto the diamond, right? And you sit there and you watch this, you watch the joy, you read stories about that. They go out to eat dinner when they're on the road together, the team camaraderie. Confidence is contagious, and we are seeing that now. This team is nowhere near close to winning their division, but that does not matter because they have confidence that they can make the playoffs. They have true belief in everybody up and down that lineup, and you see that night in and night out.
They have confidence. You just said that they can make the playoff. What's your confidence in this Mets team being a playoff team. Are you confident that they can make the playoffs?
Look, man, I am a product of whatever is happening in front of me right now. I am buying all of the stuff that the Mets are throwing out, right? Like, a lot of people want to hate on a particular organization or say, look, they will regress back to the mean, and what we see is not what we're supposed to see. I am not one of those people. I enjoy when I see teams that are playing outside of any realm we thought, and they give us nothing but pure excitement, energy, and joy. So I'm all for the joy train, the 7 train, to continue to run for the rest of the summer.
7 train, joy train, grimace train. You're on it. All right, so you're rolling with it. He's going to ride the wave with the Mets, the OMG train, whatever you want to call it. You're going to ride that. Now, earlier in the week, fans know Pete Alonso was named the Mets' lone all-star representative. But some felt, and we saw some of this talk on social media, that shortstop Francisco Lindor and outfielder Brandon Nimmo were snubbed, should have made the all-star team. Did Nimmo and or Lindor deserve to make the all-star squad in the NL?
If you look at the numbers, yes. And I want to start with Lindor first, right? Like Mookie, and let's, to be fair, they were not initially listed as starters or reserves, but there's still an opportunity for both men to make the Midsummer Classic in Texas due to injury. We'll start with Francisco Lindor, fan favorite. Everyone loves Lindor throughout Major League Baseball. But he's a product of Trey Turner, also National League. Mookie Betts, National League. Ellie De La Cruz, National League. There is a logjam of talent there. And Mookie Betts, broken hand, I believe. He could be out, right? So, like, it's a situation with Lindor where, yes, I think he should have made it, but I kind of get why he did not. And I think the fact that Mookie was there, they understood, look, we will respect the talent of Mookie Betts, but he will not be there in Texas. For Brandon Nimmo, Nimmo's always been, he's never made an all-star appearance, right? So, like, he's always been viewed as a good, solid, rotational player for an organization. And this season, we're seeing that, like, it's not just he's a good, solid, rotational player. OMG, he's a good player. And now we're starting to see the tides turn as to maybe valuing his impact on this Mets organization more. He's versatile in the outfield. So, once again, I hope that we see Nimmo make an opportunity to show up in Texas. But it's tough every year, right? Whether it's Major League Baseball, whether it's NBA, the Olympic squad. Like, every time we see these situations of this is the best player. You have the fan vote, which is a popularity contest. Then we can kind of break down the metrics of, well, this guy is better than this guy here, there. It's sad because the Mets should have more than just Pete Alonso playing in Texas at the All-Star break.
Yeah, I think they will. Lindor has got a great shot, as you mentioned, to replace Mookie Betts, who's injured. We'll see if that happens. I think you could have had a case for Nimmo, but we do this all the time. Look, I'm guilty of doing this right now. Should they have made it? Should they not have made it? We debate this stuff all the time. Either way, Jason has got the Mets fans happy because he believes in them. He's on the confidence train. He's drinking the grimace juice, whatever you want to call it. It's good. Man, this was fun.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
First time on this show, I believe we had anybody from Greensboro, North Carolina. So I think you represented well.
I tried, man. But it's also for the joy of all the sports fans here in New York City.
Yeah, it absolutely is. That is Jason Spells. Check him out. Sits in this chair and hosts Honda Sports Night on SNY. Does such a great job there. Jason, man, glad you were able to make it on the New York Sports Rapid Rundown. You're going to have to come back and do it again.
Anytime, man, anytime.
All right. We will see everybody next week on the New York Sports Rapid Rundown.